Preliminary announcements. See none. Mayor Brennan, I think you have some swearing in.
I do. Thank you all for coming tonight. It's not often we get to do this, so I'm pretty excited about swearing in two of our sergeants who've been made sergeant. First, I'd like to have Dave Smalley, Sergeant Dave Smalley and Sergeant James Williams come up, please. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We're going to move over here just for a backdrop. So on the behalf of Munhall Borough and our councilmen, who all are involved in this, we want to thank you for your service. We are very happy to share in this moment of you both being made sergeants of Munhall Police Force. I'm going to swear you both in. I'm going to swear you in one at a time. I'm going to swear you in first, okay? All right, so this is your certificate day. So raise your right hand, repeat after me. I, David Smalley,
I, David Smalley,
promoted to sergeant
of
the Munhall Police Department,
the Munhall Police Department,
do solemnly swear
that
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
I will support and defend the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
and the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the United States of America
and the bylaws of Munhall Borough.
and the bylaws of Munhall Borough.
I solemnly swear to discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
I solemnly swear to discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations. Next is James Williams, Sergeant James Williams. Congratulations. This is your certificate. Repeat after me. Raise your right hand. I, James Williams,
I, James Williams,
promoted to sergeant
promoted to sergeant
of the Munhall Police Department,
of the Munhall Police Department,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
and the Constitution of the United States of America.
and the Constitution of the United States of America.
I solemnly swear to discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
I solemnly swear to discharge the duties of my office with fidelity
And I skipped the line, the laws of Munhall Borough.
and the laws of Munhall Borough.
Congratulations. I just have to say, it's a big day for these two gentlemen. Becoming a sergeant in the police department is a big day. Congratulations to both of you, and thank you again.
If our cameras want, congratulations. Congratulations.
Good luck. Next, I'd like to ask the firemen to come up. I need to swear some firemen in. Fire Chief Ed Fletch, Assistant Chief Glenn Coles, Assistant Chief Brian Verban. These are yours. And I'm going to swear each and one of you individually as well. This is your certificate. I'll read these. You'll be awarded your certificate tomorrow, okay? So we want to move back a little bit?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So repeat after me. And these guys are just as important as the police and firemen. I thank you all for your service as well. You're very important to all of us. And I really do like your hats. Okay. I, Ed Fletch, appointed as Chief of Munhall Bureau of Fire,
Appointed as Chief of Munhall Bureau of Fire,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
and the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the United States of America
and the bylaws of Munhall Borough.
and the bylaws of Munhall Borough.
I solemnly swear to discharge the duties of my office
I solemnly swear to discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
I, Glenn Coles,
I, Glenn Coles,
appointed as Chief as Assistant Chief of Munhall Bureau of Fire,
appointed as Assistant Chief of the Munhall Bureau of Fire,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
and the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the United States of America
and the bylaws of Munhall Borough.
and the bylaws of Munhall Borough.
I solemnly swear to discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
I solemnly swear to discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank
I, Brian Verbanek,
I, Brian Trevanick,
appointed as Assistant Chief of Munhall Bureau of Fire,
appointed as Assistant Chief of Munhall Bureau of Fire,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
and the Constitution of the United States of America
the Constitution of the United States of America,
and the bylaws of Munhall Borough.
and the bylaws of Munhall Borough.
I solemnly swear to discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
I solemnly swear to discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations. Can I get in one with them?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, we have the roll call.
Councilman Ingham.
Here.
Councilman Petrusi.
Here.
Councilman Stein.
Here.
Councilman Fischon.
Here.
Councilman Bodadian.
Here.
President Faust.
Here. And I just want to announce, Councilman Ballas is listening in, not voting, or anything like that tonight. But he is still recovering, and doctor said with the conditions out tonight, could be icy. He doesn't want him, he had back surgery. He doesn't want him to, come out and take a chance on falling. Okay, notice to all public speakers addressing council. Council comments will be limited to 3 minutes, must avoid personal references to personalities and personnel-related issues. Our first speaker, Maureen Fry. I guess they're up here.
Hello, everyone. First thing I had on my list was I requested that we have copies of the 2019 borough budget for the audience. And I did ask Becky, when I fill this paper in, does she just give it, or does she make you all aware of what's going to be asked or filed or whatever? And I understand Mr. Roll gets it just so that, the borough manager can see what's on the agenda. So I'll
Just if I
ask.
can address that,
Huh?
the sheet of paper you fill out is a request to speak, and we're giving you every opportunity to speak.
So if I asked for copies, did you bring
That's
copies?
a request to know, request, right to know request. We have copies in the borough office, and they're online for any resident that would like them.
So the answer is, though
We can give copies when necessary.
So though I put it in writing that we could have copies for anybody who doesn't do the internet, we don't have a copy present, correct?
Would you like a copy of the budget?
I would.
We'll feel free to stop down, we'll give you one at any time.
Well, while I'm here, I'll just ask, would you mind making maybe 20 copies and I'll pass it out to anybody if nobody else is going to?
If everyone, I don't know if that's necessary.
I'll take a poll. I'll get back.
Can I make a comment?
Please.
Yes.
So, any time that I've been in here as a councilman or whatnot, whenever the budget was voted on or approved, there was a copy of the budget that was here for the public to be made. There were copies to be made and presented. That wasn't the case the last time the vote was voted on for the budget. They weren't here for the public. And is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
So I think that they should have been here for the general public when we voted on them. So I agree with you. Why weren't they here for the public? And they should have been here for the public. I think that's your point. Am I correct?
Right.
Thank you.
If you remember, I did ask last month. Did that mean that there was no increase in the budget? And you all assured me yes. And that's why I would like to see it. And I think many people in this audience would like to see it. That's what I requested. Anyhow, number 2 on my little list was, last week at the workshop, we understood that the workshop was Wednesday night, and on Thursday, Mr. Varhola, and this is so embarrassing to say, I just know you as Boomer. But anyhow, you were going to meet with the architect, have a meeting regarding Willis Center. And I would like to hear what the report that you find out regarding that on Thursday was about, to inform the audience. What did you find out?
Engineer Colin Lampard, Dave Cannon, and myself met with
Thank you.
architect, TK Architects. We interviewed him. We liked what we saw. We asked a lot of questions, especially Colin, to make sure that this is somebody we want to move forward and present to council. And we met with him earlier.
Who was the architect?
TKA Architects.
TKA Architect. Can you share with us what you found out, or what they
Would
suggested,
you
or
like
what they
to
proposed?
elaborate?
Yeah, so, similarly to our earlier approach, said, let's limit costs up front and let's have them start answering some of these questions that were brought up during the public meetings, such as condition the roofs in, what is the building gonna look like, what's the floor plans gonna look like, what is this really gonna cost, is it, So we met with him. I determined what I thought would be an appropriate scope for a schematic design, and he and I kind of worked together on to suit a project for the borough, and the council, he presented his proposal to council, and they interviewed him. So some of the scope, like I mentioned, there's included in that is floor plans, a study of all the mechanical, electrical, plumbing in the building, a study of the structure, both inside and outside of the building. And he's gonna deliver floor plans, elevations of the building, cross sections, and reports regarding the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and structure.
Did he give you any figure at all versus the first figure that was presented to the borough, to all of us about,
You're talking about construction cost estimate? No, that's part of his deliverable.
Okay, so we might hear from that next month.
No, probably be more like 2 or 3 months down the
You
road.
gave the
depending
number
on-
that the architect had cost, and the quote he believe he gave was
Well,
28,000 or something?
that's for his
That is just for
professional services
architectural work,
that he's gonna do
drawings,
for us up
the
front.
schematics.
I believe she's talking about actual construction cost figures. That's in his scope to present that to us, but he's gonna do that at the end.
So
Of the
will
phase.
his fee be incorporated in, like if we accept his bid, it's absorbed within that price? Or is it that price plus what you seem to say was $20,000 to get his advice?
I'm not sure I understand the question. You're talking about, construction costs and design costs are separate. You need to spend money to design the building. At that time, the borough will take the information that he's prepared, will turn it into construction packages, we'll advertise it, and it will be publicly bid by qualified contractors. And as we were just talking about this earlier, as municipal money's being spent, we're obligated to accept the lowest bid. We don't get to pick and choose who does the construction, provided that they're qualified and their bid is responsible.
And there will only be one architect to give a bid, you're not going to meet with, let's say, 3 different architects to see what they're suggesting, it'll be one?
We're talking professional services, the borough can hire who they like. They don't need to bid it out or whatever. Construction is different.
Okay. I'll keep in touch with you, probably monthly, and just say, fill us in on what you find out this month. Last week, you mentioned about the details of the Second Amendment agreement for the waterfront. And I noticed on the agenda it's going to be talked, so I won't even go there. But I have two things more. One, are we insuring, is there insurance on the Willis Center property right now? Or is it, we don't own the building, so we don't need to provide insurance?
We do own the buildings, and we
I thought we
do,
didn't have a deed.
we do own the buildings, and we insure them from the day we own them.
So as of last week, when I asked about, do we own that building, they said, I thought, and I could be wrong, I thought you said that we didn't have a signed deed, we don't own the building yet. So we, in this past week, we did sign a deed?
No. We signed the paperwork on the 27th. The county has to go through a process before the deed will be in our name. It doesn't mean that we don't own the building, it means we don't have the deed. But we are insured for the day that we own it.
Okay, so there is insurance on it. Okay, and my last thing is, I mentioned last week about the cleaning, the service trip. Mayor Brennan brought up that he would like to see it, and we were told that it would start this week. Did it start this week, and are you pleased?
Well, I just found out when I walked up, they sent the crew home. So, no, we're not pleased.
Why did they send the crew home?
I have to go and talk to the police.
I can tell you, I heard they showed up 3 hours late and didn't clean. So they're not working out.
And they weren't supposed to be here today.
And there is no contract. I mean, the contract is month to month, right?
There's no contract.
There's no contract, so we can just tell them, go.
We're gonna have to start over. We thought they looked like a reputable company, but right out of the gate, they were bad.
Two things. One is, it was a reputable company. However, the people that they hired they sub out the work. It seemed like they were so reputable.
So God forbid that maybe I'm saying excuse for lack of another word, could have been that this morning it was not the safest of roads to be traveling, from what I understand, early, and maybe that, detain them from getting here, getting started, and you might consider giving them another chance. I mean, to me, whenever you were talking about this company, everybody seemed to be in total agreement that this was basically too good to be true, and we're
It
very
was.
excited.
The price was great, we heard good things about that after they came in.
Maybe, I just hope now, this is my own thoughts, but I hope you just don't drop the company and put that off on the burner, because now we're thinking more about Willis than we are about this bar building. And personally, many of us like this bar building, and I'd like to see it. Don't laugh when I say, when I went across like this last week, there was dust. But I can't believe somebody didn't take a duster and just go across the top. But that's my own thing. Thanks,
Okay, thank
everybody.
Okay, our next speaker is Cindy, I've known Cindy a long time. Cindy Duty, is that what you said your last name right? Duty? Okay. Come on up, Cindy. And do we need her address or it's already?
No,
on
I
there?
already got it, thank you.
Okay.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Cindy Duda, and I'm with the Abraham Hayes Foundation. And I'm here this evening to find out how the Borough Council will address the letter it was received from the Abraham Hayes Foundation regarding Hardin Place Hayes Mansion.
Okay, we got the letter last month. I presented the council and we decided I'd turn it over to the solicitor.
Yeah, the letter, it was surprising to me. In 32 years, I've never seen requests like this, and I can tell you frankly that most of these things would be private legal matters for the Hayes Foundation and not something for the borough. You understand that the services I perform are paid for by tax dollars, and this will be benefiting than something other than the Borough Private Foundation. So I think you're going to need to seek your own counsel for these issues, and certainly the borough will cooperate and provide whatever information and knowledge we have, but it's unfortunate that it's just something I can't do for you because that's not my role.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker, Michael, is it Leskovich?
Lesovich.
Lesovich, okay.
So again, my name is Michael Musovich. I'm here representing Wines of America. I just wanted to speak briefly, I guess we have 3 minutes, to inform the council of our intention and plans for Hard Place. So myself, Pittsburgh resident, left in the 70s, went to the military, I'm a 36-year veteran, retired 2013, came back and took over the wine business that my grandfather started back in the 70s, Wines of America. We produce wines all across the country, and we're looking for a new winery that we can use as our corporate headquarters and as our show-off place. That's why we're right across the Hard Place up here. So our intention is to build out a winery there. Production around 200,000 bottles a year, utilizing the basement and another shed. We're going to bring a wine store, a wine bar, a restaurant. The upstairs we're going to use as a bed and breakfast. We can use it for other events, renting out for weddings, home parties, things like that. We were going to plant vineyards around it. Our plan is to make it a community place. We believe in community in the wine industry. We have vineyards up north, and we always include the community. So we would like to make that the open place, vineyards, we put in picnic areas, outside amphitheater type thing. Invite the community up, not for charge, but they come up and use the picnic areas, put in some hiking trails. Hopefully on things like Veterans Day, we do a lot of stuff with the veterans. Maybe 4th of July, other community days, we would like to host for the community picnic. We put on like an oxen roast, things like that. So I just want to introduce ourselves, our initial plans for the establishment. And want to bring the community and let you know that it is a community-driven venue. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to talk to me afterwards. And I'll be meeting with the borough tomorrow to see how we go working together to make this all happen.
I have one question. Please excuse my ignorance. Where is Hardin Place?
And I think it ties into some of the things that's in the letter probably addresses with the utilities and so forth, and code enforcement. The manager can check into variances, which letters you would need, what you would need there if you meet tomorrow with them.
I'm glad you asked the question. I'm just going to ask. But we're excited to bring that business here. I think it's going to enhance the community up there and around. We think it's going to bring up property values. It's going to bring 20, 25 jobs to the area, local. And, again, we're a community-based venue. So we're about community and veterans and parks. We're going to make it open to the public, I guess is what I'm saying.
Personally, it's something I would like to see happen.
Michael, I just want to formally say, welcome. Good luck up there. And if I can help, be of any help, call me. I'd be more than happy to come up and help you.
I will. And we have wineries around. We just opened a new winery in California. We have a winery, small one, urban winery in Braddock. We took over the old bottom part of the St. Michael's Convent next to the restaurant there. And probably the next month and a half, we're opening a new wine store, wine bar in Homestead. So I'm a Pittsburgh guy. My whole family's here. My brother's a police officer, just retired police from Swiss Vale. Other brother was a fireman in North Braddock. So
if there's a setting in the borough of Munhall that lends itself to what you're proposing. I would suspect, Mayor, that
I think,
it's up
I
there.
think grapevines would be very nice up there.
On that hillside.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're nice.
No, we go along with this. And we'll be presenting our proposed plan and drawing. You can see it in the grapevines, and then we have a walking path. We have picnic areas, benches, and then we'll be having a number of classes and events. And we'll have a vineyard there, so we don't have to bring all the grapevines from north.
Very nice.
That'll be fun.
Wish you luck.
Our next speaker is Davine Kurtz.
Thank you for pronouncing that right. Somebody got that. I provided some small packet for you guys to kind of summarize a lot of this. I know we were all somewhat taken back by the 2 new residents over on Woodhill. I know when I looked at my backyard right after New Year's and saw 2 horses a couple feet from my fence, I was shocked. I've spoken with Mr. Cannon, and I'm sorry, Joe, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Barhola, about this already, and I've also spoken with Mr. Ballas. I come to you today asking, I know that, first I'm asking if there's been any resolution as far as finding if there's anything on the books that determines whether or not our residential neighborhood is zoned for agricultural domestic animals. I know that there, from what I've been able to find, it doesn't look like there is, but I know that there was some research being done. But the second, I'm sorry.
Well, he's pointing at me. I'm a solicitor, but I wasn't asked to look into it. I know that our code enforcement and zoning expert, Mr. Cannon, looked into it, so.
Yeah, actually, to be honest with you, there's nothing in our code that says you can't have domesticated animals in Munhall.
Well, they're not a domesticated animal, they are considered to be domesticated livestock.
They're considered domesticated animals under the thing, so are sheep, ducks, hens, roosters, all that. We've had pigs in Munhall, we have roosters in Munhall, we have hens. We cannot limit the number of domesticated animals a person owns, and the only thing that we could write up is the smell of the horses in the summertime.
What about in the winter time, sir? Because if you come on my back porch, I invite you both to come up anytime. Please come up to my back porch, please smell what I smell.
We were up there I was up there last week, Joe was up there last week also, 2 different times.
We come out on our back porch, and I don't think any of you would like to come out into your backyard and smell horse manure.
Yep.
And that's the case right now in 30-degree day. This is not about my neighbor. I honestly want the best for these horses. I respectfully disagree with Mr. Cannon's summation. I've spoken with numerous municipal attorneys who have all told me about the agricultural residential zones that are created, that the majority of municipalities in more rural areas have a requirement of 3 acres for there to be horses. Now I understand that since we don't have a zoning, council's hands are tied. I completely understand that. But what I'm asking council moving forward, I don't think that any resident in Munhall reasonably living in a residential zone should expect to have horses 2 feet from their property line. We live in a residential area, not in the country, we're not in Elizabeth Township. These aren't farmlands, these are residential areas. And I think it's reasonable to expect dogs to bark. Mr. Cannon told me that dogs bark and horses poop, so should he ban all dogs from Munhall? It's reasonable to expect in a residential area there to be dogs barking. We deal with that every day. Our street has dozens of lovable dogs. But it is very much so not a reasonable expectation living in a residential community to walk out your back door and be smacked in the face in 30-degree weather with the smell of horses. I have concerns for the safety of these horses. I have concerns for their amount of space that they have. My neighbor, I believe, owns approximately 1.6 acres of land, much of which is wooded. He has, from what I have been able to see, which because I have a fence, I'm not able to see a lot of the property, but from what I've been told by several neighbors who echo my concerns but were unable to be here tonight, that there is an electric fence up to stop the horses. from getting out, which restricts the amount of area that they have to move even more. So what I ask council is please consider some sort of ordinance on the books to restrict farm animals out of residential neighborhoods, because our own ordinance defines horses as farm animals, our own animal nuisance ordinance. If you look at farm animals, it says any animal that works on a farm. Horses, by their very nature, work on a farm. And one of the items in the packet I provided you guys is from Penn State, the Animal Science program at Penn State University. And on the second page, it even says, it should be noted that at the outset, this is not a recommendation that keeping of livestock, even on small domestic scale, is appropriate in all residential areas. It is not. Due to the nature of the use, the area required for it, municipal officials should carefully review existing land use patterns and zoning district regulations. That is what I'm asking of you tonight, is to please consider something. I don't want goats in my backyard next, or pigs, or roosters. And honestly, if any of you live, you see the photos that I submitted. If any of you lived within that distance of horses, I don't think you would want to walk out on your back porch to have a barbecue in the summer and smell horse manure. I am looking at my right to use my property and not have a nuisance. And I also now have an additional question. I work in Beaver County. I drive an hour and a half every day to and from work. So when I get home at 6 o'clock in the evening and the borough building is closed and I can't reach Mr. Cannon, how am I supposed to report the nuisance smell? I mean, Joe, I will invite you up for a steak every night that I smell horse manure. You can come up the street and I will gladly let you smell.
I don't live too far away, so if it gets hot, I might smell them enough.
And that's the thing, you know, my neighbor next door to me going up the hill, so 2 houses up, they're already smelling it. This is a very real concern for our neighborhood, and I know that it's not as important as maybe the Willis Center or other items that you guys are faced with, but for those of us who live on Wood Hill, this is a real concern that we have of what our summer is going to be. Most of us have pools or some sort of an outdoor activity that we use our yards for, and now we're not able to use our backyards because they're going to smell like horse manure. And you and I are going to become BFF, because I mean, if I go outside and I smell horse manure, I'm going to be calling one of you gentlemen. And I don't know what to do when it's 6 o'clock at night and I get home and I go to grill and there's a sickening smell in my backyard.
I gave you my business card.
Yeah. Oh, I have your cell phone number, I'm telling you.
You know where
I
I
will
live
throw an
now.
extra steak on the grill if you swear not.
Excuse me.
Rich Cameron, read something, just domesticating animals, I pulled up my cell phone. It just clearly states here, an animal as a horse or cat that has been trained and kept by humans as a work animal, food source, or pet. I mean, it's domesticating animal. Unfortunately, you're allowed to have domesticating animals.
But you are also allowed as a borough to zone where farm animals, which our ordinance defines them as farm animals. Our own ordinance.
So I thought that there were 7.5 acres up there, not 1.5.
I'm only going with what I've been told. I work full-time and I have a very long commute. I've been doing as much research as
So
I can.
I was told that the property that the horses are on has 7.5 acres up there. I know that there's a large parcel of land up there that goes across the top of that area.
But
So
it
I'm
is-
not sure how much property he has there.
Neither am I, honestly. I know he owns on
So-
two sides with me.
So to say 1.5 acres, I think, I don't know. But if there's more than 7 acres up there, I'm sure that he can maybe fence it off to keep the horses away from your property a little bit. Maybe you could work together with your neighbor and
I've tried to reach
try
him
do
numerous
that.
times, and every time I've attempted, we do not work the same schedules, and when he's around, I can't get him, I can't
Do you
get
have a
hold of
phone?
him.
You could call
I don't
him.
have his phone number, honestly, and I've lived there, we've both lived there. When we talk, most of our neighbors, we just talk to each other. We catch each other on the street or something, knock on each other's doors.
We'll commit this to you. Dave and I will approach him and we will ask him if he can move it closer toward the middle or the other end of his.
How far is the barn from your property?
It is on the part of the property that is his, like, that is behind his property, from what I can tell. It's not on my property.
Yeah, I didn't think it was yours.
Yeah, it's not, when I drove it, it's not behind my property. That photo says to be my neighbor who lives across the street.
Barn is behind.
I don't know.
Like I said, I understand his right to have horses, and I respect that. I just have I have another packet I can give you.
The white
It was
fence
just my own notes, I didn't bring it up, I'm sorry.
The white fence, your fence?
Yes. And yes, I have my
Like those
building
fences
report.
is. Okay, just to get an idea.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, this is new to us too.
And I understand that, and like, I honestly try to be understanding, I mean,
We will
you also
talk.
have to understand from our perspective, you know, if you guys can get those horses moved back further, my concern is honestly, one, I don't know if he has a permit to build the barn or to put the fence as close to my property as what it is.
Need a permit for an agricultural building. UCC does not require a permit for an agricultural building, barn or a.
And with all due respect, it feels like the borough doesn't require a lot of people to be mindful of one another's neighbors, because it seems like people can just build whatever they want, whenever they want, and infringe on other people.
That's 100% incorrect. We have building permits, I go to UCC, I just went last week. I mean, agricultural buildings are not,
You can
that's
have
not a, I'll make you a copy to UCC.
I-
That's what I have.
Really familiar with UCC, I don't mean it.
That's why I have to.
I've covered it since it was redrafted in, I believe, 2004. And like I said, it has been frustrating because I'm getting absolutely no help from the borough. So. Guess thank you for nothing, guys.
Thank you. Okay. Reports from borough officials. Mayor?
Thank you. Just wanted to reverberate a couple things on what some of the speakers have talked about, the budget. And in this budget, the budget, I guess, is not a ordinance, am I correct? The budget is not an ordinance, it's just.
Correct.
It's just a budget.
The planning tool.
So the budget is not an ordinance, so I can advise and ask for things to be put in the budget. The council chooses to or not to put things that I might ask for the budget. And I asked for $225,000 to be put into the budget to maintain this building, which was not done, was not followed. And I meant, in the last meeting we had, we talked about a 5-year plan, a new 5-year plan needing to be put in place. And if you look at the 5-year plan, there is monies to be set aside to fix the roof in the borough building, to put new sidewalks out in the front of the building, and to maintain the building. So we're not following that plan. So now the question that I have to ask council is, are we moving into the Willis Center? Because the last time that we spoke, Mr. Ingles, you told me that it was just taking the property. We're not moving over to there. We're not spending any money into that. So we're moving forward into going into that building now. We're talking to architects, and the architectural costs are going to be X amount of dollars to do a plan study, which you were asking about. That's going to cost X amount of dollars. But I've not heard any X amount of dollars to be spent really on this building properly, to be really looked at. The numbers that were given to us of $8 million here and $2.5 million over there, I don't accept, and I don't accept them at all. So my question is, are we moving over into there? Do we have a plan to do that? Or are we just looking at architects and numbers, and then if it's too much money, we're just going to not do that? I don't know. Secondly, we did not know when the cost, when the borough accepted the gift. So when was the borough accepted the gift again? What day was that?
December 27th.
The 27th?
December.
So, do we have any plans for the fire hall? That we're just going to stay here, or are we going to move forward with the borough building and we're going to leave the operation of the fire hall here, and then we're going to move it over to there, we're going to keep the fire hall here? Or do we have plans for this building as well? These things need to be thought about a little bit. I know the people that I've spoken to, again, and I'll reverberate this again, the people want our borough building to stay here. Council doesn't want to, but the people do. So I asked that question to you, all council, tonight. Are we planning on moving forward and going over to the Willis Center?
Are we?
Basically, we're looking to do what's fiscally right for this borough.
So fiscally right for this borough is not looking at this property and looking at that property and then going ahead and having an architectural company come in, look at that building and not look at this building, and not do a true comparison. Because what was done the last time was not a true comparison. That was a big blown up piece of malarkey as far as I'm concerned. And so you can't do that. And that should have been done beforehand, before taking that property, instead of taking on the obligation before knowing the cost. That's a poor, any businessman, any homeowner would not do that. Any homeowner would not go buy a house and say, I like that house, I'm gonna buy it, and then say, well, now I got it, I'm gonna find out what it costs to fix it. They wouldn't do that.
I agree with you, which is why we didn't buy it.
We got it. It was given to us. So the obligation is worse than that. If someone gives you that, you're taking on that obligation, sir.
Turn around and sell it.
You could. And no one wants it.
Then why would we give an architect?
I hope we do that. I hope we do sell it.
Okay.
Honestly. That's my personal feeling. I personally can't see how you can compare a granite building that's made of granite and that building. This building faces West Street. It's the cornerstone of our borough building. And we're going to move into a nursing home. So, enough said about that from my point of view. I have questions on obligations. First off, to the budget, which I wanted to do, I spoke about that. But the obligations of the mayor's office is to sign the ordinance. And ordinances need to come to me in a timely manner for me to sign. And I've asked Mr. Abashovic, our solicitor for council, if council does not give me an ordinance to sign, does it just go into effect?
Well, you have a right to sign it or reject it.
Or not sign it and then it goes into effect? Is that correct?
If you don't do anything, it does go into effect.
So if I'm not given the ordinance, then it goes into effect? Or does it not go into effect?
You should be given the ordinance to write your objections on it. If you're refusing to sign it, you should have that opportunity. Correct?
Thank you. So
if you don't act on it, it goes into effect.
So I have the decency should be given from council to me to have an ordinance that needs to be signed, should be given to me within a certain period of time. And I should sign it, and I have 10 days, I believe, is what I think, from what I remember, to read it, to look at it, and to veto it, or to sign it, or to do nothing with it.
Correct. You don't have to do anything.
Well, I urge council that I need to be given ordinances on a timely manner that need to be signed.
I agree.
This ordinance that this was given to me was 20 days past being signed.
I wasn't aware of that.
And I don't appreciate that one bit.
Agreed.
The only reason why the millage signing of that ordinance was done was because I went to council at the office and said, I need this to be signed. Or it would have gone lapsed over as well.
You called me and I didn't sign it at the time when you called me.
So I need you guys to at least, if you don't care about me, I need you to at least have a little respect for the way council is supposed to operate, supposed to work with me.
I agree. Yep.
So that is not fair to me, or the office of council, or to the residents of the borough who voted for me as an elected official to be the office of mayor. So on that aspect, that's all I have to say about that. But I would ask for a little respect anyway.
You deserve that.
Second thing, third or fourth thing I'd like to bring up is I've not forgotten about the Main Street bend up there. I'd like to see safety poles put up there this year. And I don't know if anyone's talked about it further or looked at it. I know it's winter time, But that bend is a problem, and I'd still like council to do something with that. It's a safety hazard, it's a problem. I know that the sidewalks are a problem in there. Something needs to be done. If we're gonna look for grants, maybe we can look for a grant to pull all those bricks out and pour concrete in there, because the people are not happy with the brick situation. They are lifting, they're getting worse. Something to be brought up about, to be spoken about in that aspect as well, for the sidewalks.
It's so terribly icy this time of year too.
They're getting worse.
When the weather drops, those get icy even if there's not snow.
They do.
So
So
be careful.
I'm bringing that up to council's sight again, because it's a safety thing. Those bricks were put there by the Main Street businessman, applied for a grant, I believe. I'm not sure how it evolved, but they're there. So we need to look at that. And I know council said, well, they're not our obligation. Well, you know what? What is our obligation anymore? Next thing I'd like to talk about is something's been brought up to my attention today.
Here are 2 different ways you can find me.
I apologize, I'm still on the road, so people are texting me stuff.
That's okay, that's okay. So the last thing I want to talk about is, it was brought up to my attention today about blighted properties in our borough. And it was brought up that someone in the borough, first responders, are worried about going into blighted properties. We need to push this program up a little bit forward about the properties that are vacant. And I'm all for, let's start pushing them out into sheriff sales or whatever we have to do to get the properties from a vacant situation where there's a problem into a family living in those buildings. So, and I know we've talked about this in the past many times about, oh, it's a long process and it's a long process. I know there are new processes being looked at throughout the state. And we need to start looking at it on a much more personalized basis, because it's pulling our town down. We have police officers that don't want to go into buildings. So we need to look at them, and I'm going to call for a meeting. Hopefully the 5th of February, that we can have a blighted vacant property meeting. Joe, I don't know if you're available. I don't know when the Finance Committee meets, if they're the second Tuesday or the first Tuesday. They're the second Tuesday. So the 5th should not be a conflict with that meeting for you, I believe.
Correct.
So I'm going to, hopefully we can do that, and we can sit down and meet. We can meet with police officers if they'd like to come and meet with us. We need to resolve issues as far as what houses are empty. We need to really go back to our roots and say, this street's bad, we got bad houses here, we have empty houses here. I would like to work and get a block watch program going again as well. There's a lot we need to do, except worrying about this building and that building and this building and that building. Also, I really got to say, I think that council is making a mistake on what we're doing with the property at the waterfront. I didn't speak about it for the last 2 months, but last month you voted to let them go until April. So now it's 4 months into next year. They may come back in 4 months and say, we're thinking about it, but we still waiting for some studies. We could have had people come, we could have had people maybe interested in buying the property who may have bought it or had bought it already. I've been approached by residents who know people who are looking for properties that wanted to put a steel manufacturing company in. That could have possibly gone in there. So I say either they're going to come, you already gave them the 4 months. So now it's too late to do that. But you know what? We could have said, no, we're not going to give you 4 months. Either buy the property or not.
Mayor, they had a legitimate opportunity to bid on it, this steel manufacturing company you mentioned. They had an opportunity. We didn't prevent anyone from bidding.
No, this came out, I was approached after the sale. The sale had gone through.
And it's incidental until we deal with it.
No, it's not incidental because the sale has not gone through. The sale has not happened. They've given them 4 months. And they may come back and say, we don't want the property.
They
So
may,
they can't build on it.
they may.
They might not be able to build on it because of the land.
Or they may not want to.
No, because
Well, if there's poison in that ground, which there may
It's
be,
terrible, I know, and there may be poison in that building
There may
next
be.
door. So, that's.
It's up to us to find out.
It's irregardless. I think it was a poor judgment on council's choice. We could have left our doors open and we could have still had entertained offers. We didn't do that. We've strung that property out now for 7 or 8 months now, and it's still not sold, and we haven't had a penny from it. It's not cost us anything either, and I realize that. But
If I could just touch on that to give an update, and Greg probably could give some as well, is one of the reasons why there's a delay in the property isn't just because they want more time. They need more time to do their due diligence. They need more time to check the soils. The soils, they came back and told us they need to put 4 feet of topsoil on there. Now they're working with the waterfront community to confirm that what they're gonna put on is okay to put on there. They're not gonna put a $10 million building on that property, and then all of a sudden, one of those businesses, just say Costco, for instance, Costco says, hold it, you didn't give me any information on this, I don't know that, I challenge that they put that on there, and then they're in the middle of it spending more money. We see them spending money, right, Greg?
They have been working, he's correct. They found additional contamination on the land, which has caused them concern, but not enough to back out of the agreement. And as Joe indicated, they would have to make modifications to building to make that safe. But also, the other problem, as he was mentioning, is that whole development down there, there are hundreds and hundreds of pages of recorded covenants and restrictions in what you can build on that land that they're trying to figure out and work around. Types of uses, height of a building, dimensions, and so they're trying to get a handle on all this, and it literally is hundreds of pages of documents, because I know I looked into this when we took the property by eminent domain. So that's why it's taken them much longer than usual, is my understanding. But I've been in contact with, they have a lawyer here, they have a lawyer in Florida, they've been in communication with me over and over, so I know they're moving on this. It's taken them longer than as expected for the reasons that we've explained.
thank you, I have nothing else to say.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, solicitor's report.
Thank you. I just want to update council and the public. So you'll recall that we've had numerous discussions about the Planning Commission's recommendation to rezone a large parcel of land fronting on 9th and 10th Avenue between Andrew Street and McClure Street. Change that from single-family R1 to general business to B2. And council was in agreement with moving forward with the recommendation that came from the Planning Commission. As required, we had to send that to the county planning agency. Kay Pierce, who's the director of that agency, came back and raised some concerns and issues and suggestions and so forth, and those have been digested and considered by council and myself. And what I did in response to that is I have revised certain things in the ordinance, mainly foundational things and some of the findings of council with regard to its development objectives, commercial objectives in the area, as this area is just a block away from 8th Avenue and the development of that area, to refine the ordinance, but not changing the area that is intended to be rezoned. So, in any event, this causes delay, but it's a necessary delay, so now today I mailed it back to Kate Pierce. These are all requirements I have to follow, we have to follow. She has another 45 days to review it and offer comments, so once that comes back, then we'll be in a position to move forward with advertisement, posting, and so forth. And of course, there'll be a full public hearing because everyone that lives down there, or owns property down there, will be aware of it and will have an opportunity to come there and speak about that before council votes on it. So a little bit of a stall on that, but it was a necessary delay, so that's the progress on that. Just wanted to let you know. And the only other item was an agenda item about the turf maintenance contract by AstroTurf for the William Knight Memorial Field right here. I did review that and approve that. There was one change I wanted, and they made it, so I'm satisfied with that. And I worked with Joe on that, and of course now it's on the agenda. That's all I have to report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Borough Manager.
Thank you. Last week I was going down the waterfront around 12:30 and I saw traffic was backed up to the trestle. Wonder what the heck all this traffic was, because it's usually not busy at that time. Didn't think nothing of it, went on to my business. Later that night, Greg called me, saying, what the heck's going on with all this traffic down there? I said, you know what, I noticed that this afternoon. When I get in the morning, I'll look into it. I talked to Chief Campbell. Chief Campbell said, well, it's not cycling correctly, we probably just need to reset it. We tried to do that. The next day I came in and Jimmy's crew grabbed me and said, hey, we've been going down there when needed. We saw that it was getting backed up, so we've been directing traffic and everything as needed, but there's obviously an issue there. So we called out traffic signals through the company that works on that. They came in, they identified the problem. There's a radar issue. What it does is it kind of looks to see where the traffic is to determine how many cars are going to let out at that time. And that was bad. So Friday morning I came in, I had a quote. I called Pat and said, hey, is this sign all right? He called the person. I immediately, before he even called the person, I said, move forward with this. We need to get it done. It takes 10 days for the piece of equipment to come from the factory, so we should get that about the 25th. So all we ask is bear with us. The police officers are doing what they can down there, and we'll get that fixed as soon as possible. And the other thing I want to talk about is I was approached a while ago from it's an emergency mass notification service. What it would do is people can go online and they can request either if there's something a problem or something, water line breaks or any emergency type situation, they can sign up for it and this will either call you, text you, email you, however you ask it to be. The price is around $3,000 a year. I just started looking into this and just want to bring it up to council. We're interested in pursuing this. The one I got, the first one I got was a little bit more. I know that West Homestead uses this code red. So he's coming out to see me next week. So I think it might be something I'm looking into.
How's that work? Next.
You go online, I guess there's probably multiple ways that you can sign up. Once you sign up, however you ask it to alert you, whether you want to text, a phone call, an email.
It'll be the same way, similar to like Still Valley would have a school delay message that goes out or something.
You can also ask what you want alerted for too.
Right.
You don't have to get alerted for everything. You can specify what you want alerted for.
Road closes, fire. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Public, engineer. Not you yet, Bob.
Thank you, Rob. So old business, Harvey Street, Shady Avenue project, and catch basin contract that's down in Lower Munhall that we got from the Community Development Block Grant Project. The same contractor won both of those jobs. We know him, he does very good work. His price is very tough to beat. Unfortunately for us and for him, he's behind this year. Weather with a lot of contractors has just killed him, driven the schedule back. We met with him last week. He's received notice to proceed for both projects. The one on Shady Avenue and Harvey Street is slated to start Monday. And like I said, he's been given notice to proceed. His contract period is 60 days. So the clock's ticking. You know, if he doesn't finish in that 60 days, he risks liquidated damages. We don't think it's going to come to that, but it's been a challenging time of year to work, and it's been a challenging year with all the inclement weather, and that's why he's running behind. So just want to give everyone an update on that. New business, I think both have been mentioned, the working on a new 5-year plan for, capital plan for infrastructure improvements for the borough. And I worked with TKA Architects to develop a scope of work that I thought would be appropriate as the next step towards investigating the Willis Center. Are there any questions or anyone want me to elaborate on anything?
I got one question, Colin. Do we have any idea that shady project? Do we have any idea how long that's supposed to run?
I think he was thinking about maybe 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
sent,
that's it?
yeah, he
Oh,
sent
okay.
shop drawings over to me. Like I said, the weather this year has just been brutal on the contractors. We met with him, he's a real good guy. Like I said, he's got notice to proceed now, so the clock's ticking. We'll be watching him more closely.
Okay, thank you.
I got a question. Colin?
Can I?
No, yeah, he lives on Shady, it's about.
Well, yeah, and
Shady.
it pertains to my property. You're gonna have a contractor come out to basically fix the creek bed, correct? But is
Yeah.
my property gonna also be fixed too, what caved in because of the creek bed?
Are we gonna go on your property and fix stuff?
Well, what caved in and washed away over the last however long?
I think we've been over this project before. We're not gonna put like fill up on your property.
So what I lost is lost forever. Right? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I mean, you could get permits and fill it in and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know how to address it.
I don't know how to address it.
If they're not interested,
I mean, this problem arose because I came down here because I was losing property because of a problem with the creek bed and the storm sewer. I lost and dropped 15 feet of my property. It dropped 20-some feet. Am I right? Correct, Rick?
Yeah.
And now I gotta get permits to fill property that wasn't my fault.
I think the borough made a pretty nice effort. I know it's probably taken longer than you would like, but we got a permit from DEP. We're spending $150,000.
But you're spending $150,000 on your problem. What about my problem? Am I wrong in assuming this, gentlemen?
It's your property. You know, it's your responsibility to maintain it.
Oh, man. There's all of a sudden now it's my responsibility to maintain something that was caused by what?
I don't know the details either.
In the last however long that I've been talking about this, all of a sudden now it's my problem that the creek washed my property away. What was I supposed to do 5 years ago? Was I supposed to guess this?
We had extensive meetings up there, including ones with DEP, the county. We acknowledge that your land slid. I don't know that the borough of Munhall caused your problem, but it's a matter of good faith. I mean, they agreed, they authorized me to come up with a potential project to address it.
Mayor, am I missing something here?
Well, I just don't know what the plan is to do to the property. So I know you're gonna move.
I've discussed this.
Who owns the creek?
You're gonna move.
The borough doesn't own the creek.
The state of Pennsylvania does. That's why we had to get a permit from DEP.
So again, being that the state owns the creek, but I pay taxes on the property, which I lost, which I maintained for 40-some years, is now gone, and now I'm stuck with, it's my problem again.
How many times have we talked about this project?
No, Colin, you never said this. This is something new, and everybody that has been here at these meetings have heard what you said.
I don't know if we're getting anywhere with this.
I was to understand that my property was going to be redeemed the way it originally was. Am I wrong in assuming that? Am I wrong?
I don't know the plan, but I thought you were gonna put a riprap stone on the wall there and fill that back there.
We've discussed it multiple times.
I know we discussed it with you, and there was something like Rick is saying.
We're putting the pipe in, there's gonna be stone all around it, we're redirecting the pipe, I mean.
The lost land, I really don't know what legally, that's a legal matter, Kevin. I don't know what I can tell you. I don't.
Well, you got your solicitor, what's?
We don't own the creek. If water runs down the creek and washes your land away, that's not the borough's responsibility. We have no obligation or right to go in and spend money to fix your land.
So whose responsibility is it? Mine now.
Mother Nature made the creek flow down. And
Okay, you're right. You're right.
Don't buy land on a creek. I don't know what else to say.
That's great. That's great coming from a solicitor. That's outstanding.
Okay.
That's an outstanding statement.
Thank you. Need to move on. They gave you an opinion. So I can ask him to do it. Okay, engineer report.
Is there any other questions?
Okay, Public Works Supervisor,
Well,
Bob,
we got plenty of salt for the weekend with the blizzard coming.
that's what you're here,
Yes, we'll be ready.
Easy on that salt.
Especially on
There we go, you guys do a good job, I'm sure our roads will be great. Report of the chief, and filling in for chief tonight is our new sergeant, Jimmy Williams.
I was told that everybody, as far as council, the mayor should have had a copy of the call summary. The summary would start from 12/1/2018 to the close of December on the 31st. The police department responded to 460 total calls. We had a total of 24 arrests for the month. And an overall of 70 citations were issued, 57 of those being traffic citations, and the other 13 were non-traffic citations, which would be for summary arrests. That's all that I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, report of the fire chief, Ed.
Thank you, Mr. President. In December, the fire department responded to 46 calls for assistance, within a little under 1,700 man-hours. For the month, we had a couple of big fires that made the news, unfortunately. I will tell you that I just got done doing the 2018 report, which I'll provide to council and to the mayor between now and the next meeting. But to highlight that, we responded to just under 500 calls in 2018 and just under 22,000 man-hours we put in. But all that'll be highlighted in the report for you. And if there's any questions or anything, what do you got? Anything? Nope. That is my report then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mustang.
Code enforcement.
They have a copy of my report, I have nothing else to.
Okay, thank you. Okay, public comments on agenda items.
I just had a question about TKO Architects. TKA.
TKA.
How did you choose them, and is it just a coincidence that they work with Franjo a lot?
I have no idea what Franjo. I knew they were working with the Charlie Batch group, and I know they've done a lot of other work from what they presented.
They're probably the preeminent architects in Western Pennsylvania.
Let me just, I can, there's many things that they've done. They work for the Attorney General's office in Pennsylvania, in Southside Bricks at 26 apartments, numerous others, Island Wall, the Indigo Hotel. So they've done a lot of work recently, and I don't think they're
They have a great reputation. I just wondered, is it just a coincidence that they've also worked a lot with Franjo?
I would say it's probably a coincidence. I have no idea they work with Franjo.
Franjo does all the work at Willis.
Okay, any other questions on agenda items? Donna?
Yeah. Motion 1, with the extension till May 15th. So they will let us know, that's basically the drop dead date where they're gonna say, yes, we're gonna accept the property, or no, we don't want it, correct?
Donna, they may ask again.
I understand that, but there's another area in Allegheny County they built homes, they built condos, and now they're building retail, where if you purchased a home or any type of property, if you're living in there, you cannot plant anything and eat anything out of, if you want to do a garden, you can't do that because that land is contaminated, is what I'm trying to say.
If the waterfront...
And I know for a fact where this other property that I'm talking about is like that. Okay, I'm just not making that up. So to me, that would be the same as down here if this property is contaminated.
That is not, has nothing to do with the delay. The delay has everything to do with the confirming that the waterfront community will allow them to build what they want to build on there.
So
the waterfront community has a meeting at the end of the month, and they are going to vote on this. But then they got to get some legal documents signed to sign off to say, yes, you can do this.
But if I'm not mistaken, is that in the industrial section of the waterfront or not? Because I know part of the Munhall area is zoned industrial. where you can just about build whatever you want. So is that in another part where that's the waterfront
It
community?
doesn't matter where it is, those covenants apply regardless of what municipality it's in. If it's in that waterfront TIF district footprint, which it is, the covenants apply equally to every project.
Do we have a copy of what you're allowed to do in that community?
No, it's hundreds of pages.
I know it's hundreds of pages, but where is that copy stored at?
It's all recorded at the recorder of deeds office.
At the recorder of deeds?
Yeah, when it was developed 20 years ago, these covenants and restrictions on development were all recorded as part of the project at the initial stages.
So all the deeds down there are basically, if you get down and read them, they're all gonna be read the same, where this is what you're allowed to do, this is
Well,
what you're
no,
not allowed
they're
to do.
actual covenants running with the land.
Running with the land.
Restrictions, yes, for all future developments.
So if somebody wanted to go down and look at it, they have to go down to the county and look at it.
That's correct. The Department of Court Records actually was formerly the recorder of deeds.
So when you have the covenants, if they wanna do something different, then that's where they would come before zoning. No?
No, these are private property rights. They would need permission of every owner within the waterfront, which is probably 100.
So if every owner would sign off on it, then they
you
could go
could
ahead
do
and do
it.
what they want.
Yeah, if they would, if you could get all 100 owners.
Then how could you have somebody else bid on it that wanted to build a senior residence down there? That's why I'm kind of confused.
They would have to go through the same process.
They'd have to hire attorneys, which this company did, to research all these documents that I'm explaining to you and see, maybe a senior center wouldn't violate the covenants. I don't have them memorized. I looked at them years ago when we started this process. In fact, I had them all wiped out for our ownership. But the interested buyer now is concerned that they still could have rights to come back and make an objection, which possibly they could. That's the problem between there and their attorneys.
But Junior Achievement would have been allowed to build a building that they wanted to build on,
No,
whenever
they
they
still
bought
have
it or
the
not.
same restrictions.
So maybe that's why Junior Achievement never built.
I can't answer that.
Nobody can answer that. Okay, but I'm just wondering. Okay, motion 5, this is for what was not collected by the tax collector, correct?
Right.
Which has to go off to the delinquent tax collection agency then.
Right.
Okay, do we get recapitulation sheets of how much is collected and so forth of delinquent taxes?
Yes.
Okay, do we also get them where they're stated if they're collected for 2015, 16, or 17?
Yes.
We do get them by the year that they're collected for? Okay, thank you. The turf agreement is for a 6-year. Is that going to take up for what the guaranteed life of the turf that was installed is left of, or does it extend that? Because I believe when that field was built, it's with the turf anticipating to last for what, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years?
10.
That takes us through the end of the warranty.
The warranty, that's what I meant to say.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then we'll have to probably look into purchasing a new one. With the civil service test, are we just going to be hiring one patrolman?
All we have to replace right now.
That's all we have to replace is one? And we can't go back onto the previous civil service test that
It's
we had?
expired.
And when did that expire?
I believe last year in 2017, probably.
They started, those guys started.
They have a life, they have a shelf life.
No, I
I think
understand
it's
that.
usually 2 years in the shelf life on it, and the last.
But I'm trying to think when the last test was given.
Was
About
last.
March of 16, no, maybe June.
We hired a group in like January of 18.
I think you hired three? Two or
In
three
January of
officers?
18, we hired 3, maybe December of 17. December of 17, we hired 3, but that test was, probably done in 16, so the 2 years would have expired.
Okay. Also, after all the bills are paid, do we know what our balance is?
Wow, this is a bad way to start off the new year.
Well, I'm just asking. I know we haven't started to collect taxes yet or anything, but I'm just,
She came in yesterday too and didn't give me my sheet. I usually have the sheet on there and didn't get it. I apologize, it won't happen again in 2019.
Okay, then I guess I'll
I
have
think
to
the
wait.
last
till
part is
then.
like in 32 cents, but I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
I will tell you this, though, it is approximately 1.6 million,
And 32 cents.
the 32, right?
But we don't know where we're at that 1.6.
Also, the executive session, you said it was executive personnel, and what was the other one, Rob?
Professional
Professional interview, the architect, TKA.
Okay, the architect. then. Okay, and I always ask, and I know you have the option to do whatever you want, anybody on council. Do we foresee another motion being put on the agenda tonight?
Yes.
May I ask what that motion is? Should I wait till you put it on and then ask a question?
To get a conversation with TKA. Whether we want to move forward with TKA.
Move forward with TKA, and then what would the cost of that be if we're gonna move forward with them?
$28,163 and
$28,186. $28,186. I thought it was said earlier during, they were looking around 20,000.
Yes.
No, he said 28, somebody.
No, he said 20.
No, he said 20. He said 28, because when he said it, I was like, okay.
And that is for them to go ahead, take a look at the building and give us a drawing of it, their plan of how they're gonna spec it out and everything.
yes.
Thank you.
Why are they not doing an estimate on this building?
Thank you,
They
Sandy.
are doing a comparison, they call it programming the spaces. So when they're gonna interview the borough staff, they're gonna interview the police department, they're gonna interview everyone that has an office here, they're gonna interview everyone that needs an office over there. They're gonna determine how much space you need, or they need, versus how much space they have here. So in a sense, some comparison's gonna be done. But it's not,
Dollar wise is what I'm asking.
Cost
They're gonna
estimate.
tell us it's gonna cost this much to redo this place, and this much to redo that place.
no, they're not doing that. I mean, that was, you know, I kind of spoke on it a couple months ago. I don't think it makes sense to do two design projects in parallel.
Why?
Not when you have your mind made up already. Some
It's
of
not my
us don't
decision.
want that.
It's not my decision. That's
There's
my,
been no
that
decision
would be
made.
my advice.
We were asked for months to actually have showings. Everybody wanted to see something, so now we're spending money to see something, and now we're getting a hard time about that, so.
Because you already bought it.
What's going on?
But you know that many of us here are interested in this, and it's
Understood.
like you're just turning your ear.
We
So
made no
if you're
decision. This is
going to
just the
get
next step.
estimates
We may
there,
actually get someone to
Jason,
come in and do an assessment of this. We don't know what we're doing yet. We've made no decision. This is
That
just the
might be
next
the-
evolutionary study.
Jason, I commend you. That might be the truest statement that the council has made. You don't know what you're doing, and when we question you, that's what worries
Mrs. Fry,
us.
Mrs.
Okay.
Fry, to say
Okay.
we don't know what we're doing, I just don't know
I-
the council consultant.
He said it.
Okay, Mark?
It's for number 6 on the AstroTurf. Was that maintenance agreement brought before the Park and Recreations Committee? Or did I miss a meeting?
For what reason?
That's right.
Don't we oversee Westfield? That was the reason that the committee was originally instituted?
I don't believe that was the reason. I didn't see the scope of what that was. I thought that the Parks and Rec was put in place, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I really wasn't here at that time, to come up with ideas for recreation, and ideas of what we can do with the recreation in Munhall.
All right.
As far as the upkeep of the field, that should be council's decision whether we're going to take care of that field or we're not going to take care of that field.
Okay, and on one of the items being added, the TKA, after a quick look at the website, it seems like they're more experienced with new construction. Do they have experience with renovating other buildings?
Very much so, yeah.
They gave us a package, there's at least 20 projects in there of adaptive reuse and, you know, municipal projects specific to security issues like the police department's gonna have.
Okay,
Allegheny County Jail, they did back in the 90s. They just finished the build out of the Attorney General's office.
The one in Southside was all new. Well, not new, reconstruction, the Brick Street.
The
The old Goodwill. The Goodwill.
almost every single one of
Now
those.
they turned the Goodwill into apartments
They
and
didn't show
stuff.
it on our
there.
website.
They're a local company.
Right.
There's two partners. They have 11 people.
Right.
They're just over in Shady Side.
Sorry, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Any other items?
I'd like to speak about item 1 again.
Okay.
And I know that the answer that Joe gave us about the covenants, and I understand that. And I just wanted the public to know that all the waterfront was built on the same property down there. All that property is all the same. You know, I don't buy that we need to put 3 feet of dirt on that property to build something there. So the real answer there is what Joe said, is that the covenants there, they should have done that beforehand. I urge you to vote no. I urge council to vote no on this, and let Munhall do something with that property. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to just touch it. You said that I said something incorrectly, which I don't really appreciate.
I said you said it correctly. Maybe you didn't hear me. That the covenants were the problem.
No, Nuvo, you don't believe that they have to put the dirt down there?
No, I don't believe that.
Okay.
I don't believe that they put 3 feet of dirt down covering the whole waterfront. I don't believe that.
Okay.
Don't forget, the mills are done.
Yeah, I know. The mills were down the whole waterfront.
I understand, but certain parts, certain mills are a lot different.
Just so council
Where that
knows,
structure
I
was
got the
down.
information from Nuvo, who told us that we do have to put 4 feet down there, so.
Again, I urge you to vote no.
Okay, items for consideration.
Motion to approve a second amendment to the agreement with Nouveau for the waterfront property extending the date to May 15, 2019.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Kishon,
Second.
second by Mr. Petrucci. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Motion carries.
Motion to approve resolution 2019-1 authorizing reimbursement of temporary advancement for capital expenditures.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Stein. Second by Mr. Ingles. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays? The nays, motion carries.
Motion to advertise open seating on the following boards and commissions. Planning Commission, 3 seats. Zoning Board, 3 seats. MSSMA Sewer Authority, 1 seat. Steel Valley Enterprise Zone, 1 council and 1 business. And Vacant Property Review Board, 3 seats.
You know what,
Oh, we're supposed to take that off, huh?
So is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's correct?
Yeah.
And we'll be advertising in the Valley Mirror.
So
Yes.
Okay, motion by Mr. Sean,
Second.
second by Mr. Bodadian. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Nays?
Motion to purchase a 2019 Peterbilt 348 dump truck for $153,189 under a 5-year lease period.
Is that a dump truck?
Motion.
Motion. I thought it was a car.
Okay, motion by Mr. Bodadian,
Second.
second by Mr. Petruzzi. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Motion carries.
Motion to exonerate tax collector Donna Mercury in the amount of $268,239.13.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Sean,
Second.
second by Mr. Stein. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Motion carries.
Motion to approve AstroTurf Rhino Pro maintenance for a 6-year agreement of $5,600 annually.
Motion by Mr. Ingles, second by Mr. Kishon. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Motion carries.
Motion to authorize Civil Service Commission to administer police officer testing for a new patrolman hire.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Bodadian,
Second.
second by Mr. Stein.
Question.
Push on the
Where
motion.
is this going? Where is that test?
So we'll notify the civil service, and they'll get the ball moving, and it's probably about a month.
Our civil, our guys that's on the civil center.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay? Motion carries.
Motion to approve the December 19, 2018 minutes.
Yes.
Motion by Mr. Petrucci. Second by Mr. Tishawn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Motion carries.
Motion to approve, motion to pay bills for December 18, 2018 through January 14, 2019, summarized as follows: $204,938.50.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Ingles.
Second.
Second by Mr. Stein. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? Motion carries.
Motion to approve payroll for the period of December 13th and December 27th, 2018, in the total of $272,243.47.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Stein. Second by Mr. Petrucci. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? Motion carries.
Additional motion, that's an addition. Motion to retain the professional services of architects Felix Cardella and TFA Architects to prepare design plans and documents for the renovation of the former Willis building at a flat fee of $28,186, subject to final approval of the agreement by the engineer and the solicitor.
So moved.
Question.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Shawn, second by Mr. Ingles.
Yeah.
Any question on the motion?
Well, motion, second.
Yeah, leave with questions.
I have a question.
I know, that's what I said.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
You're up.
so we're not gonna interview any other architects? We're just gonna go with the first architect, and we're just gonna jump at it? No other speaking to anyone else? Not one other firm?
To be honest with you, that was going to be the game plan. And Dave and I interviewed this one, and it was more or less Colin who was dominating conversation. He had the experience to interview these people and know the questions. He even got a draft, and he had some very good questions. For us to interview multiple, I don't know where we're going to get to that. We saw some of the projects he did. Rest of the batches used them. Propel schools used them.
I understand that, but there are a lot of other architects in the city of Pittsburgh.
Right.
If I can just comment, so we asked for a couple things, up front, after we defined, I kind of told them what we were thinking the scope would be for the schematic design phase. We also said, show us your relevant project experience. It was brought up before, let us see your renovation projects. Let's see where you've gutted a building, your adaptive reuse projects. Let's see municipal building experience. Specifically, can you handle the police department? And he came back and showed us some really good examples. We had some really positive conversations with him. And then furthermore, when we got his fee, I know my firm can compete. I think the borough, for the services that they're gonna get, I think it's being done at a pretty good fee. Like I said, it's not my job to.
No, it's not.
To tell them that this is the guy, but interviewing more people would drag out the process more.
How do they stand in Western Pennsylvania as an architectural firm?
Well, they've been in business, I think, for 46 years. This guy, Felix, bought it. I forget the guy's.
2005.
Yeah, from the original guy who you happen to teach his children. I forget his name.
Casellas.
They've been in business here for 46 years. They're local, they're in Shadyside. They're a small to mid-sized firm that I think is very well suited for a project this size.
They work with the state, they work with UPMC.
I'm not saying anything bad about them.
No.
I'm just asking why you guys don't talk to another architect, at least another firm. That's a reasonable question.
In defense, whatever, the price is very competitive for the value and the services they're providing. They're scheduled, they can start almost immediately. They have bandwidth to turn it around quickly. So I think and their experience and their qualifications, I think, all play into the decision you guys are about to make.
I was impressed with what they had to offer. I respect Colin's opinion. We have two buildings right now, this one that is needed repair, that building that we're paying insurance on. So me personally, I'd like to act quickly to either decide what we're doing in either place. And I like his recommendation, so that's all I needed to hear, personally.
And I think the approach of, going into schematic design, answering a lot of the questions we've heard over the last 3 or 4 months, having a public, allow him to present to the public, allow him to present to the borough staff, get comments, incorporate those into a design, and, give you a refined cost estimate will even allow you to make even a more enlightened decision. And that's why I'm trying to, limit the spending up front, and then, when you get to the detailed design phase, you'll not have wasted money on a lost cause.
Motion on the floor, Mr. Chairman. Motion on the floor, we have a second from Mr. Engels, right? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? Motion carries.
There's no hurry.
I might have wanted to
3
ask
months
another
ago.
question, but you shot me right up.
You may ask what you choose.
Okay, any other additional items for council?
Absolutely.
Yes, I was here at the last council meeting.
Yes.
What's the status on getting a street light put in my house?
Jill addressed that last week.
Because as Crawford Street is getting more and more cars on that street, and more people are parking in that alley.
Right.
We do need the additional street light back there, because those street lights back there right now aren't doing the trick, and they want the job.
Right. I talked to Duke Light, I think what we're gonna do is get higher wattage bulbs.
Well, I think I'm gonna do the trick, and I'm gonna have a street light down there today.
We have 70, usually you have 75 feet between lights.
Well,
And in that back alley, there's about 90 feet between lights. There are just as many lights in that alley in the shorter area than there are on the front street of Crawford.
You look at Lawrence Avenue over there, you have 3 street lights right in a row. They're not 90 feet. That street is well lit, but you go down that alley.
They're 90 yards away.
But that alley is so dark, if I park my car back here, some kid comes along and scratches it, I can't see who scratched it. That alley is so dark. That is a very good alley.
That's what I suggested, Duke and Light put brighter bulbs in there, because there are 2 streetlights that are right there.
No, but one's at one end, yeah, one's at the other, they're so far apart, that light does not hit that center part of that alleyway. That is so dark. Like if I look out my kitchen window, I can't see anything out there, because the lights aren't bright enough.
Okay, thank you.
Since technically my matter was before council, I just want to bring 2 clarifying points. I did look into what Mayor Brennan said, and the property is 2.497 acres, not 7.5. And our borough ordinance specifically says that farm animals are an animal other than a dog or cat, which is normally used and usually found on a farm. And in December, Congress passed the Federal Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018, House Resolution 2, which defines a statutory definition that excludes equines from a blanket definition of pets and fund for key livestock. The industry requested the lawmaker delete horses from the proposed statutory definition of pets and retain horses as a standalone category as livestock. So,
what's that mean?
Means that horses aren't pets, they're under federal law, they're considered to be livestock. They may be domesticated, but they're not the same as a violation that I the federal government.
Webster Dictionary says.
With all due respect, I do have an English degree and a
I'll read what
communications
Webster
degree,
Dictionary.
but Webster's dictionary is law, sir.
Clearly states that.
That's fine, but Webster's dictionary is not I've been being told for 3 weeks to be looked into, and apparently, I was told that our solicitor was already looking into it, and that was apparently a lie, so. I'm really upset about that, honestly, because I was told by local officials that he was arrested. Remember, Joe, when you came up, you said, I'm on the phone with our solicitor about this right now. And I'm sorry, I don't know your name, sir.
Gravy Master. Yeah, I was, the issue was raised with me by Mr. Varhola, but I was told that the research was already done by Mr. Cannon, and it wasn't prohibited under the zoning ordinance, so I didn't look at it. Apparently, you seem to say you're confirming it's not prohibited.
And I mean, like I said, it's not prohibited, but I'd like to see us move forward, and like I said, with all due respect, Mr. Cannon, I feel like you are very vehemently against wanting to do anything about the nuisances.
Believe me, if I had my way, I would write there to be no dogs, no cats, no sheep, no ducks, because myself and the police get called on a regular basis in the summertime for people not cleaning up their dogs. We even have complaints about people walking their dogs down Main Street and not cleaning up. So every time I see a person walking a dog, I ask them, Dave Cannon, code enforcement officer, do you have a bag to clean up your dog? I do it on a daily basis.
When we came in on Monday.
I imagine what you guys had to do.
The police beeline for both of us, and they can't find a thing. They were looking all weekend long, and they couldn't find anything. Dave looked on it for a couple of days. I didn't even know that Dave talked to you until I already got the request to go
We're
to.
willing to share.
We're willing, email me that stuff that you have, and we'll get it to Greg.
Yeah, like I said, we have pigs on Charles Street, we have ducks down on Ravine Street, we have roosters and hens all over the place, we have sheep on Main Street. I get calls on a regular basis. We have dogs everywhere.
If we just put something in place, the homeowner could come back to us with discrimination and sue us as well.
You can also be the homeowner would be grandfathered in, but that would stop the homeowner from getting a third horse, or a goat, or another sheep, or a duck, or a rooster, or a chicken, or a menagerie.
I mean, I'm not talking about, no decision being made on this tonight.
Oh,
We
I
have to, legally make sure Munhall is doing what they can do, so the borough doesn't get sued.
And I really appreciate the council has entertained me on this. Maybe I tried to reach out, Mr. Ballard didn't call me, but I know you guys are the ones who make the decisions, and you guys are these two nice gentlemen's bosses, so I'm more than willing to come backwards and share what I've got with you guys, so. Thank you.
But if it is a nuisance, we can stop that. Mr. Cannon and I have talked about that. So if there is a noxious odor that can be verified, then we can take action on that. So regardless of what you have, even if it's illegal possession, use, and ownership under our zoning ordinance, it's not barred, we do prohibit nuisances. So we have that tool.
I don't want to be that, and I said this to Joe, I don't want to be that person calling the code enforcement officer on my neighbor. I don't want to be the person who's standing here talking to council about this, because he's a nice guy. But a nice guy unfortunately doesn't allow me to still be able to have a barbecue in my backyard for my birthday.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, Mr. Stone, all in favor, say aye. Aye.